Frustrated parents, they are demanding answers from Poway Unified leaders about mold concerns at Del Sur Elementary. It's time for the Streamline, everything you need to know in 10 minutes or less. Del Sur Elementary has been closed for a week now. District leaders held their first face-to-face meeting with parents last night to explain the delays to the start of school. The elementary school students will now start classes on Monday, but not at Del Sur. Instead, they're going to attend Stone Ranch Elementary for nearly a month as crews work to root out the cause of the mold spores found in Del Sur classrooms. At least 4 classes will be held at a local boys and girls club as well. A doctor told ABC 10 News there are symptoms parents should look out for if they feel they have been exposed to mold.
Kid that was fine is now getting sick all the time, is congested, has had an ear infection, 2 ear infections. For other kids, it shows up neurologically, where they've got learning problems, they can't focus, they can't process, they've become anxious, they become depressed, they become reactive.
School leaders say they are working on ways to make drop-off and pick-up more efficient. Parents will get their children's classroom assignments this Friday. President Trump is planning to meet with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. This will be their 4th meeting and the first during Trump's 2nd term. The 2 leaders have not yet reached a deal on denuclearization, blaming other administrations for North Korea's nuclear stockpile.
He has 57 very powerful nuclear weapons. Should have never allowed it to happen. They should have never allowed it.
The planned summit comes as the U.S. continues its war with Iran over nuclear weapons. North Korea has supplied Iran with missile technology. The war is now in its 6th month.
Fire crews have stopped forward progress on the Dehesa 7 fire in East County. It burned 93 acres, but is 25% contained. The fire started around 3:30 Wednesday afternoon on Dehesa Road, about a mile north of Sycuan Casino. Got really close to some homes also. As of this morning, all evacuation orders and warnings have been lifted. No structures were damaged and nobody was hurt. A former Little League treasurer accused of stealing nearly $100,000 pleaded not guilty in court on Wednesday. This is a case we've been following since February when the allegations first came to light. 40-year-old Roche Cuevas faces 16 felony charges for grand theft and embezzlement. A judge ordered us not to show her face in court. Prosecutors say Cuevas stole $96,000 from the Imperial Beach Little League over the course of a year.
She did have $30,000 of unauthorized charges through the IB Little League credit card or debit card that she was authorized to use for IB Little League purposes only. She also then took $60,000, transferred it to her Apple Pay account.
Prosecutors say those transactions were for personal use. The judge ordered Cuevas to stay away from the league and its employees. She must also allow investigators to search her phone and laptop. Cuevas could get up to 7 years in prison. She's due back in court next month.
So the bathrooms are open again in Mission Bay, but only until the end of the year unless the city council finds the money.
All eyes are on this cut that was proved to be unsatisfactory to the public. And so many of us down at City Hall said, okay, this cut may have been a little bit too deep.
Now, I don't know about you, but I was really curious about that last piece. How much money were they able to find to keep these bathrooms open? Where is that money going? And why are they closing them at the end of the year, hypothetically? Here's what I found out. I talked to Council President Joe LaCava. He gave up $50,000 from his discretionary budget, which is half of what he gets for the year, as did Council Member Jennifer Campbell. That's $100,000 in total.
And I had hoped that some of my council colleagues would have followed the lead.
Then the city matched that with extra transit occupancy tax. So that's $200,000 total to keep these doors open. Now, to keep the bathrooms open year-round, the city says that they need around $500,000, which is why the restrooms are closing at the end of the year.
That is really shocking to me that we would possibly try to save $500,000 by cutting down something so essential.
But there are a couple different solutions that could potentially arise. Number one, certain community groups have offered to raise the money. Also, Campbell terms out in December. Someone new is coming to fill her seat, which could mean that someone new might have a different solution. I guess we'll have to see. In Mission Bay, Emily Coffey, ABC 10 News.
Californians will vote on a sweeping voter ID law this November. Proposition 39 would require voters to show identification at polling places. Also requires voters to provide the last 4 digits of an ID when turning in a mail-in ballot. Republicans support the measure. They call it a common sense approach to ensure elections are secure. But a lot of Democrats oppose this proposal, saying that it would be expensive to implement and also poses a risk for identity theft.
President Trump is showing off the latest White House renovations while the national debt hits a record high. The president gave reporters a tour of a new White House helipad. The Washington Post reports the total cost of all the White House renovations, the helipad, the ballroom, everything else, will top $900 million. It's unclear exactly how much of that comes from taxpayers, although the president has said the helipad is all privately funded. The White House argues all these updates are long overdue, but critics call the move tone deaf right now. The national debt just surpassed $40 trillion for the first time, and that is double what it was 10 years ago.
If you're interested in buying a house like this, typically the focus will be on the interest rate. But now there are other options that can help you land your dream home.
Right now we're in a 2-bed and it's getting pretty tight in there. So we're looking for probably a 4-bed.
Kyle Hara and his wife have been looking for a house for a few months. This family of 4 has been renting in Imperial Beach, but like many buyers, they're facing interest rate challenges.
It's like you see a house and you're like, okay, it looks like I could probably afford this. So then once you run it with the rate, it's like, oh wait, maybe we got to look at something cheaper.
According to the Federal Reserve economic data, the average U.S. interest rate for a 30-year fixed mortgage is almost 6.7%, while a 15-year fixed mortgage sits at near 6%. To find a lower rate, some buyers are looking at houses with an assumable mortgage as an option. Mike Blair, the team leader of LPT Realty, explains.
So an assumable loan is basically a buyer can assume a seller's current and existing loan. And that means that they're assuming basically the principal balance, the interest rate, and those loan terms.
But there is a catch. Assumable loans have to be government-backed, which means it only works for FHA, VA, or USDA loans to qualify. And then there's the gap the buyer will be responsible for.
For example, if a seller wants to sell their house for $700,000, but their mortgage was $500,000, the buyer could assume the mortgage and keep the low interest rate. But that would mean they would have to bridge the gap, which means they would have to come up with $200,000. For those who may be thinking, okay, I need to find a way to basically bridge that gap, what options do people have?
Yeah, the majority bridge it with cash. And that cash can come from your pocket. It could potentially come from a family member or friend. The other options are you could potentially get a second mortgage, or if you currently own a house, get a home equity line of credit to cover the gap.
Kyle says while oftentimes the gap can be a lot of money up front, they found after crunching the numbers, using the lower interest rate, they'll get a better deal in the long run.
It's been amazing because now I could look at other properties that I didn't think I could even look at.
Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
That is your ABC 10 News Streamline. Everything you need to know today in under 10 minutes.